Recently, I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and I saw a couple about how great Batman the Animated Series is, and of course I've heard about how good it was, but I myself have never actually seen any of it. So I finally decided to sit down and watch it. At first I wasn't planning on making a video about it, but ever since I started this channel, every time I watch a movie or show, I can't help but think about what I would say or how I would make a video on it. And as I watched season 1 of Batman the Animated Series for the first time, I was writing notes in my notes app on my phone while watching and just thought, whatever, fuck it, let's just make a video. It's going to be similar to how I did the Teen Titans videos where I separate it by season and go on episode by episode. But I also wanted to do something a little bit different for this one as well. And I thought it'd be fun to grade each episode tier list style and give all my first watch reactions and opinions. With all that out of the way, let's just get right into it because I'm really excited to finally be watching this show. This episode, honestly, is a pretty decent opener. We learn quite a bit about this world from small details. We know Batman is an already established and known character in Gotham, and we even see that the GCPD, for the most part, is looking for an excuse to bring Batman in, and aren't big fans of his. This episode follows Batman as he tries and uncover who seems to be framing him, while a detective from the GCPD tries to track down and arrest Batman. Honestly, it's kinda cool and interesting that they chose to begin this show with Man-Bat as the main villain, instead of like Joker or Bane or a more well-known villain. The episode was good and interesting at the beginning while Batman was trying to uncover the mystery of who was framing him, but once he arrives at this lab, the doctor kinda just reveals everything to him instantly and then transforms to fight him, even though literal seconds ago he was fighting as hard as he could to not transform. And then they fight, but it's mostly just Batman and Man-Bat flying around until he slams him into the wall. So it was kinda underwhelming. I will say my only knowledge of this Batman is from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, because those are the only shows I've seen from DC, and these exist in the same universe, so I was a bit surprised at how different this Batman kinda acts and sounds comparatively. This is early on, obviously, so maybe he changes as the show progresses, but this Batman almost seems to have a sense of humor. I mean, one of the first things we see Batman do in this show is fucking smile, and then crack a joke at Alfred. He's also a lot more expressive than Justice League Batman. His voice is a tad different as well, but Kevin Conroy is probably still figuring it out as he goes, since this is the first episode. Regardless, I thought this episode was a nice opener, and kept me engaged for the most part. It just drops off a little towards the end. I'll give it a nice old B tier. A nice Christmas-themed episode. We start off at Arkham Asylum where the Joker and some inmates are singing Christmas carols and wait, what the fuck? Is that a Christmas tree rocket? Where the fuck did he even get that? Or how was he even able to make that in a psych ward prison? What just happened? Alright, whatever, sure. So the Joker escapes from Arkham with a rocket disguised as a Christmas tree. Batman of course hears about this and goes out to find Joker knowing he will be up to something. Oh, and Robin's also here, by the way. This episode really made me feel like I skipped halfway through the season to a random episode, because where the fuck did Robin come from? And it was weird having a Christmas special as the second episode. Anyway, Robin is complaining the whole time, having to be out on patrol during Christmas, and tries to convince Batman that Joker wouldn't do anything today and ruin Christmas. He isn't that evil. Holy red-nosed Rudolph, Batman, the Joker's trying to ruin Christmas. Who could have seen this coming? The Joker's master plan is capturing Gordon, this woman who I'm assuming is Gordon's wife maybe, and the detective from the previous episode, and tells Batman he has until midnight to find them or he kills them, while in typical Joker fashion gives distractions to Batman to slow him down, and the Joker live streams this to all of Gotham. Also, how the fuck do these candy cane gags even work? How are they staying in their mouths? How can they not just spit them out? And also, why do they make a weird Velcro noise when he removes them and puts them back in? You know, I think I get it now. The Joker in this show has superpowers. That's the only way to explain how he gets the rocketry and is able to magically keep their mouths gagged with candy canes. Batman eventually finds where Joker is, and the Joker finally shows why he broke out of Arkham, why he started this broadcast, why he kidnapped 3 people and lured Batman to him. So he can prank Batman and pie him in the face. And why was Batman telling Robin to stay back and tries to de-escalate the situation here? Like he's panicking about the hostages being dropped into the lava, but then when Joker cuts the rope anyways, he just jumps over and grabs them with ease. So why didn't he just do that from the start? Then Joker starts to run and it looks like he's getting away, and then he trips on this singular random skate that was placed here by itself for some reason, I guess? Then Batman sends Joker back to Arkham, and Joker sits there, laughing and singing in his cell. all happy that not only was he not alone for Christmas this year, but he was able to spend it with his favorite person, Batman. Seriously, all jokes aside, it may seem like I'm being harsh on this episode, but I really like this one a lot. It's such a classic vibe to it. The Christmas special, the Joker breaking out of Arkham, and his whole plan is just such classic Joker shenanigans. This episode is very fun to watch, regardless of all the weird shit and coincidences that happen. I give this episode a strong A tier. If you couldn't already tell from the title, Nothing to Fear is our first Scarecrow episode. Not only is this our first time as viewers seeing Scarecrow, but also Batman's first time facing him as well, which I found a bit surprising. I figured that since this show already established Joker has been a thorn in Batman's side for some time before the show starts, I just assumed the other villains would be the same. Scarecrow was out for revenge in this episode. He plans to burn down and destroy Gotham University because he used to be a professor there, but was fired after they found out he was doing psychotic experiments on people by locking them in a room with something they're afraid of and then seeing how they react. While Batman attempts to stop him, he gets injected with some of the fear toxin that makes him hallucinate visions of his father, which tells him how much of a disappointment he is and that he's ruining the Wayne name. Batman eventually just stops being afraid because
I am Batman!
also, this guy totally isn't dead from this. And holy fuck, did that guy just try to kill himself? He gets hit with the fear toxin and freaks out and jumps out the window. There's no way he knew that there was a balcony right there with a tree on it to happen to catch his fall. Whatever. I enjoyed this episode as well. Scarecrow was a pretty entertaining villain to watch, and seeing how the fear toxin affects Batman by making him see hallucinations of his father and seeing how that messes with him was interesting. And you can also see at the end of the episode, it's still something weighing in the back of his mind. I'll give this episode a B tier as well, and have Scarecrow join Man-Bat. Alright guys, we went a whole episode without the Joker. It's been way too long. This is what the people came here for. It's time to get back into our regularly scheduled programming. Okay, no, but seriously. Strangely, this is also a kind of holiday special since this episode takes place during April Fools, and it's actually a pretty big aspect of the episode. At this point, I hope every holiday special episode is centered around Joker and his antics. Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, even fucking Memorial Day. Who cares? I want a Joker episode about it. Joker in this episode spreads and infects Gotham City with his laugh gas, and yeah, I mean, that's basically it. This episode's fun and all, but it isn't as good as the previous Joker episode, and honestly, it feels like nothing really happens in this one. I'll give it a clean C tier. Another first appearance of a classic Batman rogue, and again, it's also Batman's first run-in with her as well. I guess Joker is just like a special case so far. We also get more of Harvey Dent, who obviously isn't Two-Face yet. We saw him a bit in an earlier episode, but we actually see who his character is in this one. In this, Poison Ivy has a fake relationship with Harvey in order to poison and kill him because he ripped up a bunch of plant life, specifically this flower that he would have made extinct if she hadn't been there to protect it, in order to build a prison. Batman figures out she is the one behind it and goes to stop her and get an antidote in order to save Harvey. He gets captured, they make out, Batman sets her entire greenhouse on fire, and the day is saved. This was another decent episode. I mean, no episode so far has been bad. All of them have been good and entertaining. I just feel like there are so many other things and stories you could do and make with Poison Ivy that they just weren't able to do since this was her first appearance. So this episode is just on the lower end of episodes that I've seen so far. I will say I do like how prominent and actually helpful they make Alfred in these episodes, and he isn't just like a forgotten side character. Also, Poison Ivy is low-key insane. Like, obviously I know she values nature and plant life over human life, but all of the other adaptations and stuff I've seen her in up until this point, she never seemed like a lunatic. But in this episode, she was genuinely psychotic. It threw me off a bit. I'll also give this episode a C tier. A good intro to Poison Ivy, just not on the caliber of the other episodes up until this point. This episode might be my favorite one so far. At first, when it looked like it was just about some random kid thief and they were talking about leprechauns, I was preparing myself for the first bad episode and expecting a boring one. But it quickly took a turn when you see the Society of Children all serving under this Sewer King guy. Seeing Batman's reaction to how these kids are treated with child labor and raggedy clothes was very cool to see. And you can see and tell just how protective he is over children in general, considering his own past. I mean, do you know how bad you have to fuck up if Batman tells you to your face how tempted he is to kill you when he just sends people like the Joker to prison? The only negative thing I have to say about this episode is that the final little chase scene with Sewer King kinda goes on for a little too long, and it's overplayed a bit, but that's more of a little nitpick. Anyway, this episode was really great, and helped show more of who Batman really is as a character. A tier. Honestly, I really like the idea of this episode. After a police operation goes wrong, three officers are brought in for questioning, and we get to see how the story played out in each of their own perspectives as they try and decipher who was to blame for the operation going sideways. I also cannot stand this motherfucking detective guy. Not only is he the reason they failed in the first place, but then he lies his ass off about how it was Batman's fault, and then he doesn't get punished or face any repercussions at all after doing so. As a matter of fact, he is almost rewarded. He gets his badge back and is reinstated, and then the only officer who actually did anything gives him part of the credit and gives him props. Like, what? Why are we acting nice to this guy literally at all? He literally tried to throw you under the bus earlier at the start of the episode, and now you're giving him pats on the back? On a side note though, throw this officer in a bat suit and get her out there, cause damn, she was keeping up with Batman. Anyway, I like this episode, and the idea of seeing the same situation through each of the characters' POVs, but then seeing this detective guy I hate just get off scot-free for his BS annoyed me to no end. I'll throw this episode in B tier. The Forgotten follows Bruce as he tries to discover the reason for the sudden disappearances of Gotham's homeless. But instead of going out as Batman and doing his detective work like he usually would do, he goes undercover as a homeless man and gets captured. He gets whacked in the back of the head with a hot dog, gets knocked out by it, and somehow that makes him lose his memory, while Alfred does some goat shit to try and rescue him. The ending part here as well is very Arkham game-esque, which I thought was very cool to see, especially given how much earlier this came out before those games. This episode is cool. I mean, I love seeing Alfred do his thing, but the rest of the episode is just alright. I'm thinking C tier for this one. Now here we have an episode about a random man and his kid, and we see how poorly he treats his child. So this kid has a birthday and a clown gets invited, and the Joker kills him and... oh wait, no he doesn't actually. He just knocks him out. I guess the Joker has a bias towards clowns. The Joker usually just kills him there, right? Anyway, the kid loves the clown and decides he's gonna run away from home with the clown. But obviously it's the Joker, so Batman rescues him and now his dad decides to be an actual father. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, didn't care much for this one. Didn't care about the father and son, that's what the episode revolves around, so overall just a tad boring for me. I think this may be my first D tier episode. Maybe that's a little harsh, but it's definitely not on the same level as the other episodes in C tier as of right now. Here we are getting to the origins of Two-Face, which honestly is coming a lot sooner than I expected. We got like one episode with Harvey in a prominent role, and I assumed we'd get a little more of him before this. But regardless, here we are. Apparently Harvey has a split personality, even before his botched facelift, which makes him act overly aggressive. This was a bit different to see, and not really what I expected. Now when it comes to my knowledge on DC lore, it's very limited. It's Justice League Unlimited limited. Justice League Limited? What I'm trying to say is, outside of the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited shows, I know virtually nothing about these characters. It's the only DC show other than Teen Titans from 2003 that I've seen, and I'm only reading the current Supergirl, Titans, and Nightwing when it comes to the comics. Though I did recently start getting into Cassandra Cain's Batgirl, and I'm quite liking her character a lot. Yeah, so this was recorded a few months ago, so this actually changed a bit. I started reading a lot more comics, so on top of those that I mentioned, I'm also reading or have read the current Batman run, the current Batman and Robin run, current Justice League Unlimited run, Batman Detective Comics Rebirth, Wonder Woman Rebirth, and Absolute Wonder Woman. So my previous knowledge on Two-Face was the Dark Knight trilogy when I saw it as a kid, and this split personality wasn't really present, or I just don't really remember it. So I wasn't expecting it here. Though I do think it makes so much sense, and I like it a lot, though it does feel like it comes out of nowhere. The split personality causes Harvey to keep acting out in public, and becomes harder for him to control. A mobster known as Rupert Thorne catches wind about Harvey's split personality, and the fact he's seeing a shrink for it, and threatens to release this information to the public, unless he agrees to help him out once Harvey's back in office. During this confrontation, things go sideways. An altercation occurs and Harvey gets...
My resolution? Airstrikes. Bomb them. bomb them, keep bombing them, bomb them again.
Gets incredibly disfigured, which causes him to go even farther off the deep end. This episode was very good. Seeing Harvey's descent into madness and the origins of Two-Face was cool, and added so much more to his character than before. Though I don't know how much time has passed since the Poison Ivy episode, but damn, this motherfucker falls in love and tries to get married with any girl he meets. He asked Ivy to marry him a week after they met, and then the next time we see him, he already has another fiancée. Anyway, great episode. A tier. The continuation of the last episode, after Harvey escapes the hospital, we see him in his classic Two-Face attire, with goons, no, not that kind, and already established to the public as Two-Face. This was so abrupt, it felt like I missed something here. But I guess we are jumping a little ahead, I don't know. Regardless, Harvey is out looking for revenge on Thorn for ruining him, and Batman is trying to stop his old friend Harvey before he goes too far. Harvey's fiancée gets tricked into accidentally leading Thorn and his men to Two-Face's hideout, and right before Thorn can kill him and his fiancée, Batman arrives and saves them. Then Thorn and Harvey both get arrested. This episode was also very good. Seeing Harvey as full-blown Two-Face flipping his coin around and seeing how during all of this, how much he still does care for his fiancée and how much she still cares for him was really nice. Still, it was a bit jarring to me to start the episode with a little time jump, but once you get past that, it's a great watch. A tier once more. Here we have a gang war going on between this guy Arnold Stromwell and Rupert. Wait, what? Didn't he just get arrested literally last episode? Well, how? Whatever. So Stromwell and Thorn were having a war for control, yada yada yada, gang war stuff. Stromwell realizes he ain't got that dog in him no more and turns himself into the police. He brings his whole drug company down with him, and the end. C tier. In this episode, we have our main character. No, not him. What did you think? This was a Batman cartoon? We have our main character, this kid, and his friend, of course. This episode introduces the Penguin. Okay, Penguin low-key got hoed. His first appearance into this show, and he goes up against children and loses. Like, that's so embarrassing. But to be fair to him, Batman is also on fraud watch after this episode, considering he lost a 1v1 to a bird at the beginning, and then got one-tapped by Penguin, and was out for the rest of the episode. And then he needed children to save him. Penguin looks mad freaky in this show, I'm not gonna lie. Bro's got pointy Ninja Turtle fingers, like ew man, put those things away. This episode was kinda a little bit boring. We just follow some random kids getting into shit way over their head, and then we cut to Batman every once in a while just to hear him groan and moan. I did like the touch of having the basic generic bullies that were picking on our protagonist end up becoming his friends at the end, and even calling him boss and following his orders. I mean, that was cool, I guess. This is a very D tier episode, though. Now this is absolute cinema. This is real peak. This is why you watch Batman. In this episode, we are introduced to Mr. Freeze, who because of this show is one of Batman's most popular and loved rogues. Like, Mr. Freeze is the only villain who can say this corny ass line,
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
and make it sound cool. Get it? Cool? Because, like, he's... No, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. Having a villain who's evil just for the sake of being evil is great and still needed, but giving the villain some kind of sympathetic backstory and an understandable motivation makes the dynamic with the hero so interesting to me. Now, this isn't to say Mr. Freeze still isn't a villain. I mean, he's still very clearly not a nice guy. I mean, he was gonna leave one of his own men for dead after he got hit by Freeze's freeze gun, threatened to do the same to his other men when they tried to help, and was willing to kill everyone inside the Gothcorp building in order to kill the one guy he actually wanted, being Ferris Boyle. I found myself rooting for Batman and Mr. Freeze at the same time. After seeing what Boyle does to Freeze, it's hard not to root for Freeze on his path of vengeance. Boyle essentially murders Freeze's wife, causes the accident that made Freeze forever stuck inside the cold suit, and treats his employees like shit, all while championing himself as a humanitarian to the public eye. But you also root for Batman to stop Freeze from killing all the other innocent people along the way. Also, seeing Batman try to stop this man who is out for revenge after his wife was taken from him is something Batman himself can relate to from losing his parents, and seeing how sympathetic and understanding he is to Freeze and his motivations was such a beautiful and perfect Batman thing to do. Everything about this episode is downright perfect, and the action honestly takes a small step upward as well. I think we stumbled upon our first S tier. It's time for Catwoman. We obviously start off this episode with Catwoman stealing a necklace with her cat that she apparently trained to help her steal things, and that also has superpowers or something. Meanwhile, Batman is in his misogynistic era.
So, our new cat burglar's a woman.
Batman lets Catwoman get away because he was too busy flirting with her to actually stop her. He saves her cat, kinda. I mean, this truck is clearly on top of them right now. Like, they clearly should have been hit. Anyway, while Batman and Catwoman are flirting by night, Bruce is falling in love and trying to go on a date with Selina Kyle during the day. Oh, also, she's blonde, I guess. I swear every time I see this character, she has a different hair color. Catwoman is trying to protect this lion sanctuary, but this group called the Red Claw have other plans and set up shop there. And Catwoman puts herself in Red Claw's sights. Yeah, this episode is fantastic.
Say that again?
I love Batman's dynamic with Catwoman, and seeing how different their interactions are when they are Batman and Catwoman versus Bruce and Selina is so fun. I really love this episode, so I think it's going to join Heart of Ice at S tier. 2 S tiers back to back. This show is cooking right now. To continue from the previous episode, we see Red Claw wanting to steal this plague in a can from a military train, and Batman can't help but again be surprised that a woman is the leader of the group.
Red Claw? A woman?
Oh shit, women are disgusting.
And Batman discovers that Catwoman is Selina Kyle the whole time, and that she's
in love with you.
even though they literally just met the other night. Batman and Catwoman team up to take down Red Claw, but are captured. That doesn't last long though, of course, as they easily just cut the rope and escape. Catwoman and Red Claw have a little cat fight, and Batman blows up the plague. Then Batman goes and visits Selina to tell her how much he does care, and to arrest her himself, because he didn't want her to be brought in like a common thief. And of course, if Batman is bringing her in, they'll definitely treat her nicely once he leaves for sure. This episode was also good, but had a few small things about it that brings it down from an S tier like part 1 and makes it an A tier for me. So here we have this guy who can make himself invisible pretending to be this little girl's imaginary friend. Bro, please be her father or something.
A better life somewhere else, huh? Where your dear old dad can't find you.
Oh, thank God. I mean, it's still creepy, but it would be much worse if he wasn't related to her. Anyways, he has to sneak around like this to see his daughter because he's a criminal who has a bad relationship with his ex-wife. This is kind of like a fucked up and creepy version of Sandman from Spider-Man 3. This guy is already mentally unstable. Then the suit of invisibility he's wearing apparently is toxic and makes him even crazier. He tries to smooth talk his way back into his wife's life, even though she has a restraining order against him.
Hey, babe.
And then when that doesn't work, he kidnaps his daughter. And yet apparently she doesn't know what he looks like?
You're a man? I gotta go, Mojo. I'm not supposed to be with strangers. Mommy told me.
Batman of course beats him, and saves the girl. Then at the end he talks to the little girl and disappears before her mom can see who she's talking to. Just like how she did with Ventrix in the beginning. Which obviously is leading up to Batman then kidnapping her and making her into Batgirl. Oh wait, never mind. I think I got that wrong. See. In this one, Batman has to basically live out an episode of his favorite show as a kid, and take the place of the hero from that show, the Grey Ghost. And as you see the mayhem in Gotham City, it would cut back to the past of Bruce watching this episode basically play out, and that was a pretty cool concept to me. But then it stops pretty quickly and he tries to recruit the help from the actor who used to play the Grey Ghost in the show, and he was being super annoying. But then it goes back to being cool when the actor throws the Grey Ghost outfit on and decides to help Batman. Seeing Batman teaming up with his childhood hero and who inspired him to be the type of hero he is now was pretty cool. And Bruce, being the fan that he is, even kinda lets the Grey Ghost know he's Batman at the end. This episode was cute. It started with a cool concept that got dropped kinda fast, but then it still picked it back up to something cool and interesting towards the end. I'd give this one at least a B tier. I feel like it might have even gotten an A had it come before the Mr. Freeze or Catwoman episodes, but those were so good, the rest of these will probably get graded a little harder now. The bar has been risen. So, remember when I just said that these episodes are going to be graded a bit harsher now? Yeah, not gonna lie, I'll just tell you off rip, I don't really care for this episode, kind of at all. Just a little bit on the boring side. So this guy Nostromos pretends to be able to see the future, like a boat sinking or someone's death, and then he has his men go and do those things in secret to make it look like what he prophesized came true, so that the wealthy members of Gotham would join his cult and put their money in his trust fund so he can rob them. Okay, F tier. No jokes, no real explanation why I don't really like it, it's just, I was bored. I don't know what to tell you. Let's just move on. Matt Hagen is an actor who is able to change his appearance to look like someone else. He helps this guy named Daggett by changing his appearance to mimic Bruce Wayne, so he can set up Lucius and have him killed so Daggett could take over Wayne Enterprises. Hagen agrees because Daggett has a special cream that fixes Hagen's disfigured face. By the end of the episode, Bruce gets arrested for Hagen impersonating him, and Hagen gets doused and is forced to swallow a whole bottle of the face cream he needs, which fully changes him. And we get a glimpse of what looks like a face made of clay. A clay face. I'd go like B tier for this one. It was good, it was just kind of a slow burn, and a lot of explaining had to be done in order to get to Clayface in the end. So, remember last episode Bruce was arrested? Yeah, well, this one starts with him walking out of jail because he's rich, so that means he's above the law and he can just do that. Now, while Batman tries to figure out who was impersonating Bruce Wayne, Clayface has a very understandable freak out until he finds out he can change and shape his whole body into whatever he wants. This episode also has a really cool interrogation scene and pretty decent fight between Batman and Clayface. Batman ultimately defeats Clayface by showing him different characters from parts he played in movies, and because he can't control his powers too well, he starts automatically turning into all the characters at once, and it overwhelms him and he fakes his death. I think this is the first time I actually liked the part 2 more than the part 1. I'll give this one an A tier. Here we go. This episode is another episode about some random guy and an altercation he has with the Joker, and I love it. Usually an episode that Batman is barely a part of and the main focus of the episode is about some random nobody I don't care about, I get bored pretty fast. But this one was actually super fun to watch. Basically, this guy was having a bad day, so he road rages at someone who cut him off. But that someone happened to be the Joker. The Joker confronts him and tells him that he'll be let off the hook if he just agrees to owe Joker a favor. And then the Joker can cash it in at any time he wants. The Joker, being the way that he is, waits 2 whole years before deciding he was going to call in the favor. And the favor? It was just for him to open a door. But of course, with the catch that he'd be stuck to the handle and left for dead and get blown to shit along with Jim Gordon and the police force. He was able to attract the attention of Batman just beforehand though, and he goes batshit insane and pulls a prank on the Joker and makes him think he was about to blow himself up along with the Joker. Joker agrees to leave him and his family alone, and then he gets to go home. Like I said, I just think this episode is very fun to watch. Seeing Joker just interacting with random Gotham citizens, seeing a guy kinda lose his mind at the end, and the fact Joker waited 2 years to call the favor in was actually kinda hilarious. This episode is also the first appearance of Harley Quinn, which is crazy to me. I knew Harley was a show original character, but I figured since this was her first appearance in anything ever, that it would be like an origin of sorts, of how she became to be. But nah, she's just there, and they just act like she's been around. Anyway, I'd give this episode a high A tier. Very fun. Vendetta is our first episode with the killer Croc. Croc wants to get revenge and has a vendetta against the detective Bullock, because Bullock had him arrested in the past. So he frames Bullock and makes it seem like he is a dirty cop. I mean, it's cool and all finally seeing Croc, but like I still heavily despise Bullock, and I hate seeing him portrayed in a good light. And I was really hoping he was working with Croc and was gonna get caught, but unfortunately he was innocent. So now I have to see him act all tough and like a big shot, and it annoyed me. D tier at best. Scarecrow is back and looks creepier than ever. His plan in this episode is to give telegrams, lined with his fear fent, to athletes right before a big game, and then bet against their team. This college kid, who is also Dick Grayson's roommate, receives one of these telegrams, then the next day during his game, he suddenly has a panic attack. While Batman and Robin are out on patrol, oh yeah, by the way, Robin's in this episode. Just in case you forgot, because he hasn't been in or at the very least mentioned since episode 2, and the season is just about over. It's been over 20 episodes. I'm not saying Robin should or has to be a part of every episode. I just found it kinda odd that they introduce him so early just to not even mention his existence up until now. Anyway, while Batman and Robin are on patrol later that day, Robin also suffers a random panic attack, which makes Batman suspicious and discovers the telegram has some sort of chemical on it. So he tracks down Scarecrow, and Robin saves the day by getting over his fear.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
This episode was fun. It was cool to finally see Robin again and remember he's in this show. I'll go B tier. The Clock King episode is about the Clock King. This is just a normal guy who, tells the time really well. His whole thing was he wanted revenge because he blames the mayor for making him late for his court date because he told him to take his coffee break a little bit later. But it's not like he hired these little shit kids to throw their ball at you. And he definitely didn't tell you to bring your very important briefcase full of very important papers that you need for your court meeting later to the park just to take a coffee break. Like, why are we not just leaving that in the office? This really does just seem like your fault. But regardless, Clock King tries to kill the mayor at the exact time that the mayor told him to take his coffee break. Batman shows up, and for some reason, Clock King is able to go toe to toe with him. Like, one thing I do find mildly frustrating about this show is if there is a villain like Clock King or just a regular thug, and they need the episode to still continue, they kind of just nerf Batman hard. Like, he just looks like he has no idea what he's doing and has no idea how to fight at all. There's no way that this regular ass old man who just reads the time is able to keep up with you in a fight and even hit you at all. I just don't really care about the Clock King, and his motivations were kind of ridiculous and mostly just his own fault. This episode is like D tier, honestly. This one was such a cool and classic Batman episode. This episode is really focused on the detective side of him while he races against the clock and tries to stop Daggett's men from decimating a whole neighborhood, and it was great. He saves this kidnapped woman, Leslie Tompkins, who is also the doctor he had an appointment with earlier, and is revealed she is the doctor who helped Bruce after the loss of his parents. And apparently Batman has frequent appointments with her. He was very reckless with this bomb though. Like, sure, he cut the wire, but I don't know about throwing the damn thing on the ground after. He is also able to save the hotel and the people inside, but he kind of fails a bit as well, with a few buildings still being destroyed, even though they were condemned, and Daggett being able to walk away free while only his men take the fall. Also, with the way it's mentioned that Batman comes frequently for appointments with Leslie Tompkins, and the way they hug at the end, it makes me wonder if she knows that he is Bruce Wayne. This episode had a very Batman vibe to it. I don't really know how else to explain it other than that, and for that reason, it'll join the top at S tier. Okay, so this is the first one that made me genuinely feel uncomfortable. Jervis Tetched being this creepily obsessed with Alice and using his mind controlling technology to not only force people to do his bidding, but even force Alice in the end to want to be with him. It was just so gross. And like I said, genuinely uncomfortable to watch. He also made me physically cringe at a few moments. Like a few of those moments that I had when watching the show The Office, where it's so cringe and hard to watch that I just had to pause it and take a moment before continuing. Like, Batman has no shortage of creepy and deranged enemies, but there's just something so real feeling about the Mad Hatter's motivations and scheme that makes it that much more off-putting and sinister. I just wanted the episode to end quickly and for Batman to stop the guy immediately, and I felt so bad for Alice the entire way through. I'll give this episode a C tier. Even though it made me physically cringe and was a genuine hard watch, it obviously was supposed to be uncomfortable, and the fact it made me feel so strongly makes it not really feel right to put it all the way down to F tier. It accomplished what it set out to do very well, so I give it a higher rating because of that, but I still put it lower down because this is not an episode I'd probably watch again, and not one I really enjoyed watching either. And here, for the Season 1 season finale, we have another Scarecrow episode. And honestly, I'm surprised just how often we've seen Scarecrow so far. Other than the Joker, he's the villain we've easily seen the most of, and I was just not expecting him to be this prominent, but I'm all for it. In this, Scarecrow plans to poison Gotham's water supply with a new fear gas that makes people hallucinate, And while Batman was trying to stop him, he got infected with some of the gas and locked away in Arkham Asylum because they just thought he finally snapped. There was this one section of the episode where Batman hallucinates seeing his parents walking down Crime Alley right as they were about to be killed. And the scene reminded me of the Batman Arkham game sequence with the Scarecrow as well, where something similar happens. This episode was also just cool because we were able to see what exactly does scare Batman, and it's an interesting concept. We see things like the Joker, the death of his parents, and generic green aliens. I'll go A tier for this one. Not bad for a final episode, but not as grandiose as you'd expect. And with that, the first season is officially finished. The show is very good so far, with some strong episodes, with only a few boring stinkers in between. And this show has captured who Batman is extremely well. My main issue I have with the show is the action's just lacking heavily. Usually, the further you go back, the shows and movies just have worse action and choreography, and this show is definitely no exception to that. Of course, fighting isn't the only thing Batman does, it is a big part of his character. Like I said, they got Batman's character down, and the detective parts are fire, but the action really needs an upgrade. Batman should not be getting tripped up or beat up by common criminals. And fights are boring if it's just a punch or two and maybe a throw, and one person's just out for the count. In this show, the writing is top tier, but the fights just need work. With all that said, I'm still excited to continue on with this show and see where it takes us from here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on your own Batman the Animated Series opinions, and thanks for watching.